All right, as Andrew introduced me, my name is Elisabeth Edelman. I am the founder and CEO of public relations agency based here in Richmond called Golden Word. I got my start in PR working in Manhattan, and I was there for 5 years. I moved to Richmond 10 years ago and have, I feel like I've established a really strong base here. I love living in this city, and we our specialty, we're a team of 5 people. We specialize in connecting brands and customers with big press and really meaningful mentions, which is something that I want to talk about today. So as Andrew mentioned, we've represented some really strong Richmond brands like Leadberry, Hardywood, Belle Isle Moonshine. We've also on a national level worked with brands like Lyft and Blade and Bow Bourbon, Appointed, many more. So today, the core of public relations is really spreading the word about people and brands. Usually we do that through the media because they have really powerful platforms. As social media is coming up, obviously that is another thing that we are delving more into. It's not the posting on behalf of the brand, but it's getting other people to spread the word about our companies and our clients on their social media and their platforms. So what I want to talk about today is really digging in on like pinpointing those meaningful mentions, as I just mentioned myself. Those have been the most transformative experiences for our clients, and I just wanted to offer a few case studies as to why. So often, if you're thinking about your deliverables for a client, usually you want to deliver in quantity. You want to deliver as many impressions as possible. You want to have a list of clips for them, tons and tons of press coverage. So I worked with Leadberry, which is a menswear brand based here in Richmond, and CEO Paul Tribble and I were very close in our marketing work together. And he was always pushing me on like, what is the game-changing moment that you can find in press? So volume can really be good, obviously, but I always try to keep an eye on those game-changing moments. It's something that he instilled in me then, and it's something I carry with me now. You guys are probably all familiar with Pareto's principle, which states that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. And I think about that all the time in our work, where I'm spending probably 20% of my time pitching, right? And the rest of the time is servicing the clients and updates and reports and networking and just all the superfluous items. But the real key is the pitching. And even if I distill it down further, of the, however many media contacts and social media influencers that we reach out to, 20% of them are probably the most impactful. So I'm going to share 3 case studies that illustrate this and really showcase the impact. Sorry, we switched to the spotlight and now I'm seeing my face really large and it's very exciting for me.
Sorry about that. I just realized that feature existed. Do you want me to?
No,
are you gonna screen share?
I'm just looking at myself. It's lovely. I'm good.
Okay.
So, okay. The thing that I would say that's really crucial about this game-changing element is that it often requires going slow. Oftentimes you have clients that are like, we want results, let's go. And I am catered to that to a degree, but I'm also like, hey, we're chasing something really specific. So it requires thinking through who the target is. I think my favorite part of it is experimenting. You're not going to nail it on the first try. So I'm trying to think through, I'm learning from the activities that we have put out. I'm learning from the pitches that we've put out and honing our pitch from there to really zero in on our target. So once we have that target zeroed in, it can take a while to find the right moment, or maybe it's something that's like not immediately attainable, but you have to work at it for a while. So I think that this is incredibly worthwhile, even though it's slow. So let me get into the stories, because I think the stories really bring this to life and take it from theoretical to like real life. So this is an old one, but it's a really good one, which is back in 2013, we were working with Leadberry, again, this menswear brand. And when I first met Paul Tribble, the CEO and co-founder, he had told me he wanted his shirts to be worn by Willie Geist and Joe Scarborough of Morning Joe. And I, in this meeting, of course, I'm trying to sell myself. I'm very good at placing product on people, on different personalities. So I'm like, of course, we can totally do that, excited to. And I went back to my desk and I was like, cool, I have no idea what Morning Joe is. I've never heard of these dudes before. So I Googled it. From there, I did the really smart thing and I just called the main line and I'm like, hey, turns out that you're the morning show on MSNBC. Probably should have known that one, but hadn't really been pitching so much of like heavy business news before. So I called the main line, I asked for wardrobe. They were like, we don't have wardrobe. So they hung up on me. I called back many more times and eventually got the name of an assistant who helped the guys with their shirts. And she never to this day has emailed me back or called me back, but she forwarded my email to someone else and they emailed me, and I think it was like 3 months later, they said, hey, we would love some shirts for the guys. So we sent shirts in for the guys. They pretty much started wearing them immediately. So in a way, my box was checked. I did what my client was asking me to do, but I wanted to take it further. It's kind of hard to identify that this man is wearing this shirt on. That's not like what you're paying attention to on when you're tuning into a morning show. So what I did is I kept building the relationship. I mean, we talk all the time about in PR that we're building relationships, but this is what I mean. What we did is anytime we were in Manhattan, we would reach out to Joe and Willie and say, hey, can we swing by? Can we stop in and say hello? And eventually they said yes. So we got to know them. And then finally we pitched them and we're like, we'd love to tell the story of Ledbury on the show. And they said yes to that. So I think in sum total, for me, first hearing this tip from Paul Tribble to actually getting the guys on air was probably like 18 to 20 months. It took a very long time to get this done. However, what happened is we got the guys on the show. It was basically a 4-minute infomercial on Ledbury, and it hit their target customer so squarely that the site was flooded with traffic. We got within 94% of the server capacity, and if we had hit 100, the site would have gone down. It's funny to me because I was the only person who was watching this, and I had absolutely no way of fixing it if it did go down. The two guys who could fix it were the ones on air. So I was just watching it, celebrating and freaking out at the same time. So what that flood of traffic did for the brand is it actually lifted their sales for a full quarter. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It, again, was such a dead on target moment that, I mean, still to this day, like it's many years, this was 2013 when this happened, we still get people that say, hey, I learned about you on Morning Joe. It was definitely this turning point moment. And it was this thing that we just kind of like wore them down. We built that relationship. It was a turning point for the company. All right, so then I've got another story for you. A few years later, same company, we're still talking about Ledbury. We learned from the Morning Joe piece that the Ledbury customer, so Ledbury sells clothes. So you think, hey, we want to be pitching this to fashion, to GQ, to people that are talking about clothes. But the reality is the Ledbury customer does not care about fashion. He wants a shirt that makes him look good, allows him to feel confident so he can get on with his day and do more important things. So we learned, again, from Morning Joe that we wanted to pivot away from pursuing fashion coverage, and we wanted instead to go for business coverage. How do we get in front of the business customer? So our next stop was the Wall Street Journal. We, again, in the spirit of like, this takes a while, in our networking in New York, we met with a TV producer who gave us this great story idea. His suggestion was like, pitch a story to the Wall Street Journal saying that men buy shirts the way that women buy shoes. It's a great trend story. And it speaks exactly to what we're trying to sell, which are shirts. So we pitched it to the Wall Street Journal. They loved the story and they started working on it. I think it probably took 3 to 4 months from them accepting the story to like it being published. In that time, again, we brought them the idea. We probably did 3 or 4 customer interviews, which required finding the customers, briefing them, having them do the interviews. It was a very intensive amount of work. And then the story drops online the day before it comes out in the paper. It's a massive story. Ended up covering the personal journal section, and was almost the full page. And the thing, my heart sunk when I saw the story, because in this massive, massive story that we brought to them and worked tirelessly on, Ledbury was probably included in about 3 to 4 paragraphs. And I was so crushed, and I wasn't entirely sure why. It was a very compelling piece. So I'm like, crap, like we worked so hard on this and it didn't hit. The next day though, I wake up and I find that, again, we see the huge spread, and there was something about the way that it played out and the attention that that story got, that Ledbury saw 5x site traffic all day long. Like whatever like their normal number was, it was 5x just steady all day long. Whereas broadcast, you get this massive spike and then it goes down. We sold $60,000 of shirts that day, which is not a normal day. So it ended up being, again, I think it lifted the entire month for sales. And it was just this one story. We knew that we were drilling down on the right target. So to give you another anecdote to wrap here, I have another one based on TikTok, which obviously is all the rage these days, and is everyone wants to go viral on TikTok. Going viral is, I shudder when a client's like, hey, we want to go viral. It's very difficult to manufacture. So we've started working recently with Mary Mill Farm and Vineyard, which is based in Keswick, Virginia. They're a new winery, and their design of their tasting room is unbelievable. It's what they're calling a maximalist wonderland. And it's insanely beautiful, and it's insanely Instagram friendly. So we want to get, the prestige placements and big press, but the reality is with COVID, people aren't traveling as widely right now. So we were like, okay, we really just want to make sure that we get reservations going for this hospitality destination and just get it moving from the jump. We knew that it could go viral, that this place would blow up, and we just needed to play the numbers game. So for this, we invited countless Instagrammers to come out and TikTokers, and we were like, at some point, something's gonna pop off. So one day it did. We invited DMV Foodie, who is a TikToker who profiles different food and beverage and restaurant destinations in the DMV area. She came out, she averaged about 100,000 views per video, which was awesome and would be incredibly impactful for us. So her video of Mary Mill came out, and prior to that, Mary Mill was getting about 20 reservations a day. Her video ended up receiving 600,000 views. It got 76,000 likes. And then the thing that's most compelling to me, because it really shows that level of engagement, is it got 16,000 shares. That means 16,000 people were so moved by this video that they shared it with someone else, presumably to be like, hey, let's go to this place. So that day, Mary Mill went from like 20 reservations a day to that day they had 550 reservations. But most powerfully, or most impactfully, they've since then averaged 100 reservations a day. So this was just, the TikTok algorithm, I think people talk about it all the time of how precise it is. This was very much geared towards our region, towards women. I mean, everyone saw it. I got my hair done. My hairdresser was like, oh, I saw this winery on TikTok. And I was like, you're kidding. Like everyone was talking about it. It was really wild. They had 2,700 Instagram followers prior to this. So on a different platform, this was a TikTok video, but people went over to Instagram. They went from 2,700 Instagram followers to 4,400 in 2 weeks based on this video. So for me, the lessons that I take away from these 3 stories are that it's worth it to take the time to zero in and develop those relationships to find the game-changing moments. despite how long it takes, because the results are so outsized and valuable, that it's something that, yes, I want to pay attention to volume, but I'm also going to chase that big moment that's going to change everything. So that's the gist of it. I'm happy to answer questions. Andrew, I don't know how you want to moderate that, but
we can take questions over chat, or if we've got a few minutes, if anybody wants to unmute themselves and pop up, you can ask your question directly. And I'll start. Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok. I am a lurker. Well, so Golden Word is on TikTok, and we do post videos there. I have my own account and I have not posted. I'm just, out there. But TikTok's really, TikTok and Instagram Reels are like dangerously addictive. So I have to moderate.
And where do you draw the line as a professional in being persistent? And where's the line between persistent and aggressive?
Okay, so that's a really good question. Paul Tribble has also said, he's always said, like, you're the most persistent person I know, but you're also the kindest. I feel like if you are being really thoughtful about what it is that you're following up on, and you're being kind about it and like really considering the person on the other end of it, keep going. I feel like as long as I don't feel like I'm bugging people, but I'm actually bringing value, I'm going to follow up until it gets done. Or what I'll do is I'll shift from that one person to someone else. Like I'm always talking about, like, if the front door is closed, I'm going to go jimmy a window in the back.
Yes. Matt, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. And thank you for sharing those stories. I'm sure those were really exciting moments.
Yeah.
I've been in PR in the past, been more in digital marketing. So I'm at Capital One, and my question for you is how do you kind of balance client expectations, right, for that big moment? And in some cases, they may not be realistic. So kind of dialing them back to something that's a better fit, or just kind of balancing, like, knowing that you're trying to shoot for the moon, but knowing that you have to deliver things along the way to not lose that client, to show success.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. So it's two things. One, it's education. So, for example, Mary Mill, to be quite honest, was very skeptical of the Instagram and TikTok route. They were not, frankly, for it. They wanted traditional media, and we tried to educate them slowly on the impact that it could have. And also, we knew it would work, so we just went and did it. And they're now very, very happy. The other element of it is, I think that we're a small company, we're 5 people, so we don't have huge teams on this, but we do we don't put 100% of our energy towards chasing that game-changing moment. So we're trying to pay attention to what is the thing that is going to appease the client now. So for example, with Mary Mill again, we were like, we need to change, we want to impact reservations. We want to build local awareness such that reservations are fine and the company is healthy, and it buys us time to find that big game-changing moment that we can't just wait for that and expect that everything's going to come from it. So it's really just a balance. It's education and then balancing multiple strategies.
Great question. Question from Ed. Hi, Ed. Can you talk about the difference, if any, with B2B versus B2C brands?
Yes. There are a million differences. What can you specify a little more there?
Yeah, when I hear examples like you're talking about, Elisabeth, they're always very compelling, but I can see the connection to the consumer. I wonder, is it really just the same, and is it about finding the right medium and the right channel to have the same sort of connection to corporation, or do you think about it, and is there some difference in how you think about that?
Yeah, so I also work to promote Golden Word, and we do have other B2B clients. So it's kind of the same approach. It's just a different scale. So for a B2B client, I'm still thinking about, like, what is the customer or the audience that is most impactful to them. So for example, it might be that we target a trade publication, or that there's a certain personality on LinkedIn. Like I'm always thinking about like, actually, where is our customer and what are they paying attention to? And then who's the most influential person in that space? It might not be traditional media because again, consumer, like a B2C company just has a larger audience and larger, like broader appeal. So we really just take the time to research like who is the target. So for example, we have a gifting company that we're working with right now that they're all B2B. So they're trying to do like holiday gifting for companies. And so they're like, can you get us on sales and marketing podcasts? And so we're just trying to figure out like, where is that niche audience? So it's smaller. It's not going to be the Wall Street. I mean, the Wall Street Journal totally did pitch them for that. But again, just like zeroing in on where the audience is and how to get in front of them.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question from Catherine. Can you talk about how you get clients to slow down or maybe have reasonable expectations about when they're going to see results or if they're going to see results versus the I need results tomorrow mentality?
Yeah, I do that from the very first new business meeting. PR, I have enough experience in PR to know that it is something that builds over time. Obviously, it's different. I don't know anything about digital marketing. Andrew taught me everything I know. And after a while, I was cried uncle because this was not my thing. But I will say for PR, I know that it is something that builds over time. We typically start with clients on 6-month engagements with the idea of like continuing from there, but using that as like a opportunity to check in at that point. So by the end of the 6 months, I feel like we have momentum going, but it takes that much time. And as long as we set the expectations from the front, I think it's really helpful. And then, yeah, I think I want them to feel educated on why. So it's not just, hey, this is going to take a while, but like keeping them in the loop as we're going and showing the progress, I think also helps.